Good morning, this is Angel Dean, and it's our week 8 and our last video journal. In this week, completing APER's self-assessment tool, I encountered a lot of things which we always use inside our classes. In social competence, the materials and activities that we use inside our class encourages social interaction and communication among our students. The behavior that was shown by the students with ASD is prevalent. They get excited by technology, and they do their work almost 100% accurate as with the objectives of the day. We mostly use our Chromebooks with applications that allow students to interact with each other using technological support. Some materials often used are those with sensory integrations like balls, clay, sand, and other sensory integration materials. We guide the students to have a structured and supportive environment through activities purposefully chosen to encourage interaction. Our classes encourages the children with autism spectrum disorder to stay engaged during or using cues that the child is familiar with. We also conduct weekly systematic explicit instruction to promote the children's social skills development in the classroom by doing peer-mediated instruction and intervention. We do integrated play, where we invite the parents to take the role of an adult who will establish a consistent schedule, coach the peers through play sessions, and encourage the children on the autism spectrum to stay engaged using cues that the child is familiar with. We also do group-oriented contingency, where it trains the entire classroom of children on some social skills, behaviors, and techniques in hopes of promoting supportive behaviors among all of the students in a classroom with one or more children with ASD. And the most part of it is we also encourage peer networks. This is where we train groups of students to form social network. This is to provide support for children with ASD in their classroom. Peer networks may learn things such as communication systems used by the child with ASD. Now, how to initiate and maintain conversations too is a big part of it, and how to help them provide instructions. The only challenge there is when some families cannot afford to have internet connections at home. We encourage them to spend a little time in the library to be included in the type of conversation or connection. In personal independence and competence, we use PECS, or Picture Exchange Communication System, and other strategies to promote students' personal independence in their ADLs and routines. I personally do task analysis for those kids who need help or step-by-step interaction. We also use our agenda, like our notebooks, our diaries, our daily planners, and of course our Chromebook for homework and their personal checklist referring to their IEPs. Most of the time, we use different self-management skills to help students recognize their behavior. We have observational checklists and task compliance checklists too, which the student would ask the teachers to sign when they finish a task. One problem I encountered with this is when a student loses a checklist, which has all the comments of all the teachers. So I thought of doing it electronically so the student would be more engaged and the file is shown and forwarded to all members of the team, including the parent. For functional behavior, like Brian, not his real name, he sometimes make unnecessary comments and inappropriate behavior such as screaming when in class. We conduct an FBA that we collaborate immediately with the parents and make a behavioral intervention plan. We identify these behaviors or his behaviors, and we make a plan to replace it as part of the intervention. Usually, the behavior specialist does the planning with the help of the teachers or all the team members as per their inputs, like their observations, their charts, their checklist. But for me, as a teacher, I know that it would be better if I could make my own strategies and interventions. Since I spend more time with Brian the whole day and I do have a knowledge of ABA, it's my master's, and I collaborate with the ABA specialist, and we make a plan to implement identified strategies and intervention consistently when the behavior occurs. For family involvement, I always communicate with the parents via phone conference. Sometimes we do personal conferences in school. Brian's parents are difficult to contact since they work in the morning and at night, but I make sure that we have communication with each other like emails and texts. We call them not only to tell them what's wrong with their kid, but also what are the positive things he did in school. I made sure that the family is given specific instructions and resources, um, and especially during IEPs, I always make sure that all inquiries are in layman's term so that the family could understand it much better. In teaming, we see to it that all members are there to help the child with ASD, especially during assessments and IEPs. If there are cases where a child has other specialists, I often see my colleagues collaborating with the team to schedule sessions with the students and implementing their expertise. We usually have a twice a month meeting when we collaborate with each other regarding the cases of our students, the feedback from all the teachers, like sharing data, and we plan for the next steps for the benefit of the child's performance. Paraprofessionals are also included in our team, and they are trained beforehand to know what has to be done with these cases of ASD. Usually during summers or summer, they are trained for this kind of children. The only problem that I see in this is when all of our schedules do not meet and we have to cancel the meeting because of some emergency issues where some specialists and teachers need to be excused from the collaboration. But in a general view, everything is going smoothly.